Your car came with a window sticker listing every feature as an upgrade: panoramic roof, push-button start, a transmission that shifts itself, a suspension that adjusts to the road. Automakers spent the last 2 decades selling these as reasons to pay more, and most drivers never questioned a single one of them. Here's what almost nobody realizes until it's too late. You see, several of the features marketed as premium, modern, and forward-thinking are the exact same features quietly responsible for the most expensive repair bills in the industry. Some were never actually built to last as long as the parts they replaced. Others fail in ways the dealership never mentioned when you signed the paperwork. These aren't manufacturing defects or bad luck. They're design trade-offs, and the people who made them knew exactly what they were trading away. By the end of this list, you'll know if your own car is already carrying one of them. You haven't touched a physical key in years. You walk up, the door unlocks itself, you press a button, and the engine starts. It feels effortless, and that's exactly the point. Here's what most drivers never think about until it stops working. That entire system runs on a small battery hidden inside your key fob, and when that battery starts to die, it doesn't just fail quietly. It causes the fob to lose connection with your car at random distances, leaving you standing in a parking lot pressing a button that does nothing. Even worse, if the fob dies completely or gets damaged, you're not looking at a $5 key cut at a hardware store. You're looking at a dealership appointment to reprogram a new fob into your car's security system, and that process alone can run $150 to $400, depending on your make and model. A basic metal key, the kind your last car probably had, cost about $2 to replace and never needed a computer to recognize it. Convenience came with a price tag nobody mentioned on the showroom floor. You pull up, shift into park, and press a small button instead of pulling a lever. It feels modern, smooth, almost invisible as a system, which is exactly why nobody thinks twice about it. Here's what most drivers never consider until they're stranded. That button controls a small motor and module tucked behind your rear wheels. And when that module fails, it doesn't always fail, obviously. Sometimes the brake simply won't release, leaving your car locked in place with the engine running and nowhere to go. Other times it fails silently and you don't find out until a warning light appears or the brake refuses to disengage at the worst possible moment. A traditional parking brake was just a cable and a lever, a piece of hardware you could see, feel, and troubleshoot yourself in your driveway with basic tools. This version hides everything inside a sealed electronic assembly that only a dealer or specialty shop can diagnose. Replacing a failed actuator motor typically runs $400 to $700 per side once labor is included. The cable it replaced cost about $20 and rarely needed anything more than a spray of lubricant once a year. Somewhere along the way, the physical buttons in your car disappeared. Fan speed, temperature, defrost, seat heat, all of it got folded into one glass panel because it looked cleaner on a spec sheet and photographed better in showroom lighting. Automakers don't advertise what that consolidation actually means for you down the road. Every one of those functions now routes through a single infotainment module, and when that module glitches, freezes, or fails outright, you don't lose one feature. You lose all of them at once. No heat in the middle of winter, no defrost when your windshield fogs up on the highway, no way to adjust the fan because the entire panel is unresponsive. A car from a decade ago with physical knobs and buttons had each function wired independently, so one broken switch meant one broken function, nothing more. Replacing or repairing an infotainment module runs anywhere from $600 to $1,200 once you include diagnostics and labor, and some dealers will tell you the whole unit needs replacing just to fix one unresponsive setting. The buttons it replaced almost never failed, and when they did, you could swap one for under $30. Pop the hood on most modern cars and you'll find something that would have looked absurd to a mechanic 30 years ago. A cooling system held together with plastic, radiator end tanks, coolant necks, even some thermostat housings are molded plastic instead of metal. And manufacturers made that switch industry-wide because it's cheaper to produce and shaves weight off the engine bay. Nobody puts that reasoning on the window sticker. What they don't tell you is that plastic doesn't handle thousands of heat cycles the way metal does. Every time your engine heats up and cools down, that plastic expands and contracts slightly, and over years of driving, it becomes brittle and starts to crack, usually right around the seams where it meets metal parts. The failures tend to show up conveniently outside the manufacturer's warranty window, often between 80,000 and 120,000 miles, and when they happen suddenly. A cracked coolant neck can dump your entire cooling system onto the pavement in minutes, and if you don't catch it fast, you're looking at an overheated engine on top of the repair itself. Replacing these plastic components, along with the coolant loss and potential engine damage, can run $500 to $1,500. The metal parts they replaced routinely lasted the entire life of the car. Picture the difference between a $30 sealed headlight bulb and a $2,000 sensor packed assembly, because that's the gap most drivers don't realize they're standing in every time they buy a car with this feature. These headlights are marketed as a safety breakthrough, automatically dimming for oncoming traffic and shaping the beam around other cars in real time. Impressive on paper and genuinely useful when everything works. The problem is what happens when one piece of it doesn't. Unlike the simple bulb and housing setup cars used for decades, Matrix headlights pack dozens of individual LEDs, sensors, and a small computer into one sealed unit. If a single LED burns out or one sensor drifts out of calibration, you can't just replace that part. The entire assembly is sealed at the factory, which means one small failure forces you to replace the whole unit, sensors, and all. Dealerships charge accordingly, with full assembly replacements running $1,500 to $3,000 per side depending on the vehicle. Compare that to the sealed beam bulb it replaced, a part you could swap yourself in a parking lot for under $30. If you're starting to notice a pattern in how these features get engineered, that's exactly the point of this list. So go ahead and hit like before we get into the next few, because what's coming up gets a lot more expensive. Now back to it. For years, timing belts came with a built-in warning system, a service interval printed right in your owner's manual, usually somewhere around 60,000 to 100,000 miles, telling you exactly when to replace it before it failed. Manufacturers moved to timing chains and marketed them as maintenance-free, a part that would outlast the car itself. That claim sounds reassuring until you look at what these chains are actually made of. Instead of solid metal guides and tensioners, many modern timing chains rely on plastic components to keep the chain properly tensioned and aligned. Plastic that sits bathed in hot engine oil for years, slowly degrading in ways no dashboard light warns you about. When those guides wear down and eventually snap, there's no scheduled interval that told you it was coming. The chain can skip timing or fail entirely while you're driving, and in most modern engines, that means the pistons collide with the valves. That's not a repair anymore, that's a full engine replacement, often running $4,000 to $8,000 depending on the vehicle. The belt it replaced, the one with an actual warning system attached to it, cost around $300 to swap on schedule and never once failed without notice. Somewhere in the last 15 years, automakers figured out how to make a tiny engine feel like a much bigger one. Strap a turbocharger onto a small 4-cylinder, and suddenly you've got the power of a 6-cylinder with the fuel economy numbers of something half its size. It's a genuinely clever piece of engineering, and it's also why so many of these engines don't make it past 100,000 miles without major work. A turbocharger works by compressing air and forcing it into the engine under pressure, which means everything downstream of it, the pistons, the gaskets, the seals, is running hotter and under more stress than it would in a larger, naturally aspirated engine doing the same job at a relaxed pace. Squeeze that kind of output out of a smaller block, and the margins for error shrink. Gaskets that might last 150,000 miles in a bigger engine start failing at 70,000 or 80,000 in a small turbocharged one. Turbo seals wear out and start burning oil. What used to be a simple, low-stress engine design has become a high-pressure system asked to do more than its size was ever meant to handle. Turbo replacement alone runs $1,500 to $3,000, and that's before you factor in the gasket work that often comes with it. The larger engines these replaced routinely ran for over 200,000 miles without ever seeing that kind of repair bill. Nothing looks more futuristic in a car commercial than a door handle that disappears completely into the bodywork until you walk up, then smoothly presents itself just as your hand reaches for it. Automakers love this feature because it shaves a fraction off the drag coefficient and photographs like something out of a concept car. What doesn't make it into the commercial is what happens when the small motor responsible for that motion stops cooperating. In freezing weather, ice and condensation can seize the mechanism solid, leaving the handle flush against the door with no way to grip it, mechanically or otherwise. Some owners have found themselves locked out of their own car in a parking lot, unable to open a door that used to just open. The motor cycling in and out also draws on the 12-volt battery every single time. And on cars where the handles pop out repeatedly due to a proximity sensor glitch, that drain adds up fast enough to leave you with a dead battery before you've gone anywhere. Replacing a single handle assembly, motor included, runs $400 to $900 per door. The mechanical handle it replaced cost about $5 and never once needed a battery to function. The pitch sounds great on a test drive, gear changes that happen in milliseconds, the responsiveness of a manual transmission without ever touching a clutch pedal yourself. Underneath that smooth marketing sits a transmission that's fundamentally two separate clutches, taking turns engaging different sets of gears, switching back and forth so fast you're not supposed to notice the handoff. In showroom conditions, on a smooth test drive, it works exactly as advertised. In everyday driving, especially the stop-and-go crawl of city traffic, it's a different story. Those clutch packs take a beating every time the car creeps forward in traffic, engaging and disengaging thousands of times a day in ways they weren't really designed for. Owners report jerky, hesitant engagement at low speeds, a delay before the car actually moves when you expect it to, and in a lot of cases, that hesitation is an early symptom of clutch wear that's already underway. When the mechatronic unit, the computer and hydraulics controlling the whole system starts failing, it's not a simple fix. Repairs run $2,000 to $4,000, and in some cases, the entire transmission needs replacing rather than repairing. A traditional automatic transmission, the kind this was supposed to improve on, could go 150,000 miles or more with nothing but scheduled fluid changes. Traditional fuel injection sprayed gasoline into the intake stream before it reached the cylinder, which meant a steady wash of fuel passed over the intake valves every time the engine ran. Direct injection changed that. It sprays fuel straight into the combustion chamber instead, skipping the intake valves entirely. And that shift is what let automakers advertise cleaner emissions and noticeably better fuel economy on the same size engine. Nobody mentions what got lost in that redesign. That constant wash of fuel over the intake valves wasn't just incidental, it was quietly cleaning them every time you drove. Without it, the valves are only exposed to blow-by oil vapor from the crankcase ventilation system, and over time, that vapor bakes onto the valves as hard carbon deposits with nothing left to wash it away. By 40,000 to 60,000 miles, that buildup can be thick enough to restrict airflow into the cylinders, causing rough, idle, hesitation, and a noticeable loss of power. Fixing it isn't as simple as changing a filter. Most shops have to physically walnut blast the carbon off each valve by hand, a labor-intensive process that runs $600 to $1,200. The older port injection engines this replaced could go the entire life of the vehicle without ever needing anything like it. Step into a car with air suspension and the ride feels almost weightless, gliding over potholes and rough pavement in a way traditional steel springs never quite managed. That's the entire sales pitch. And for the first few years of ownership, it delivers exactly what's promised. Underneath that smooth ride sits a setup that replaced simple steel coils with rubber air springs, a compressor, and a network of air lines constantly inflating and adjusting to keep the car level. Steel springs have no moving parts and nothing that can leak. Air suspension has both. The rubber in those air springs breaks down over years of exposure to heat, road salt, and constant flexing, and once it starts cracking, the system can't hold air the way it's supposed to. Most drivers first notice it as one corner of the car sitting lower than the others overnight, or a compressor that runs constantly trying to compensate for air that's leaking out as fast as it's pumped in. This failure shows up like clockwork. typically between 60,000 and 80,000 miles, right as the original owner is trading the car in and handing the problem to someone else. Replacing a single air strut runs $1,000 to $1,500, and it's rarely just one corner that needs it. The steel coil springs this system replaced could last the entire life of the vehicle without a single point of failure. Nothing photographs better in a dealership brochure than a cabin flooded with light through a sheet of glass stretching from the windshield to the back seats. It's the single most requested feature on new car surveys year after year, and automakers know it sells cars before a customer even test drives one. What gets left out of that pitch is everything happening structurally the moment that much glass replaces a solid steel roof. A standard roof panel weighs next to nothing and sits low, right at the car's center of gravity. A panoramic sunroof assembly with its glass motor and reinforced frame adds real weight, and it adds it high up, right where it affects handling and rollover resistance the most. That's layer 1, and most drivers never feel it until they're already in a situation where it matters. Layer 2 is drainage. Every sunroof has small tubes running down through the pillars to channel rainwater away from the seal. Those tubes clog easily with leaves and debris, and when they do, water backs up and finds the path of least resistance straight down into the wiring harnesses and control modules hidden in the roof and door pillars. Drivers report water damage to seat modules, airbag sensors, and infotainment systems, all traced back to a clogged tube nobody knew existed. Then there's layer 3, the one that makes headlines. Large sheets of tempered glass under thermal stress or a road impact have a documented history of spontaneously shattering at highway speed, sometimes with no warning at all. Full electrical repairs from water damage can run $1,500 to $4,000, and in bad cases, insurers have written off cars entirely over it. A steel roof never let water anywhere near the wiring, never added weight up top, and never had a reason to shatter. Quite a list, right? Anyway, if this changed the way you look at your own car, hit like and subscribe, because we've got more lists breaking down exactly what dealerships leave off the sticker. And speaking of things dealerships don't mention, click the next video. What you're about to find out will change your car journey experience.